Yo, how's it going, my cigar and whiskey aficionados? This is Blunts and Bourbon, and I'm your big homie Kyle Reed with a little bit of whiskey wisdom for you. Now, did you know there's a big difference in the process between Tennessee and Kentucky whiskey and bourbon? Yeah, so if you didn't know, the main difference is called the Lincoln County process. The Lincoln County process is a process where Tennessee whiskey is filtered through maple charcoal before it's actually aged in a barrel. Now, there are quite a lot of similarities between Tennessee and Kentucky bourbon. Of course, they both have to be made with 51% corn in order for it to be bourbon. Now, bourbon can be made in any part of the United States, whereas Tennessee whiskey slash bourbon can only be made in the state of Tennessee. Now, like I mentioned, for Tennessee whiskey, it has to go through a pre-burling process where they filter it through some maple charcoal, whereas regular Kentucky bourbon doesn't have to do any of that before it's actually aged and barreled. Now, they say the main difference between the flavor profiles of a Tennessee whiskey versus a Kentucky whiskey bourbon is that the Tennessee whiskey tends to be a lot more mellower, a lot more smoother, on the palate, easier to finish, kind of sweeter. Whereas your Kentucky bourbons tend to be a lot more bolder. You get more of the flavors of the vanilla, the caramel, the cinnamon kind of stands out, the spiciness. So that's kind of the difference between the two. And then you kind of come on down to where I'm at here in Kansas City, and we have our own unique style of creating bourbon, which is called the Kansas City style. And what they do with the Kansas City style, you still have to have 51% corn for it to be a bourbon, and it still goes through the same distilling process, aged in charred barrels and everything. But with the Kansas City bourbon, they add 15-year-old sherry to it from Spain. It gives it a unique flavor of like dried fruit and nuttiness, along with the kind of caramel and cinnamon and those type of nuts you get with your traditional bourbon. So there you have it, man. A little bit of whiskey wisdom talking about the different types of bourbons you have here in our great United States. Man, I'm just gonna put some smoke in the air and sip slow. Catch you next time. Peace.